I got a question for both of y'all about a group that was in Smoky Mountain. Tracy, you talked about the feud with Ron Wright and Dirty White Boy with the Rebel flag, but I want to know what it was like when New Jack came in.
I knew
And
you was going to ask.
well, yeah, because
Yeah.
I have been going back watching New Jack's promos, and I can only imagine that environment. Now, Bobby, you know where I grew up in New Orleans. I can only imagine that Smoky Mountain environment and how they took to New Jack.
Yeah, all right. The first day New Jack was, the Gangstas, Mustafa, and New Jack was there. I'll never forget it. We were somewhere in North Carolina, and it was right on the border of like Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia. It's some town. I had a map I could tell you, Bobby, and I'll never forget this. Well, Jimmy put the gimmick on them, and everything, and brought them in, and it's when OJ. Remember when OJ, with his wife and everything, and the whole deal, and the Bronco, and all that.
Yes.
And, all that had just happened, and things like that. Well, we get there. We got 3 TV tapings, and the cop there was Klan. Okay, all the cops. There was 3 cops there, and they were all Klan. And they heard that, we had Killer Kyle. Remember Killer Kyle, Bobby?
Great guy, yeah.
Killer Kyle.
Great guy.
Yeah, hell of a guy, hell of a worker, hell of a worker too. He was.
Yes, he
Big
was.
man, could move. He had it all. But he eventually put Kyle in there with him with the gangster thing. Well, anyway, Jack and Mustafa had a match, and a squash match or something. I can't remember. And all them boys, their buddies that were legit gangsters from Atlanta. All came in the building. We didn't know they all were going to be there, and it circled the ring and did that, and then went over and did the interview, and they were working a big deal, coming right in, working with rock and roll. You know what I mean? And I can remember them doing that interview, and New Jack was doing his, the racial interview and everything, and New Jack was real smart. That's what people don't know about him. He was a college graduate, and Mustafa was a big, bad, good guy, country boy, but he was a tough dude,
guy.
Man. Good guy. Yeah, he just messaged me, and I got to message him back on Facebook, Bobby. I'll give him your info, too. Yeah. He lives in California now. He was out in Vegas. But anyway, Jack did his promo and says, y'all got to deal with me, this, other, and do. Y'all ain't seen nothing. Nobody was doing nothing like that back in the business. And he says, y'all got to deal with me. Y'all got to deal with us. Y'all got to deal with the gangsters. We're legit doing this. He bounty hunted and killed a few guys and things like that. And Jack, and he did what an interview. And Ricky, while he was doing it, Ricky, was going crazy. Ricky was going, Jimmy, we can draw money with him. This is fucking, Jimmy was loving it. And New Jack finished it, and Ricky and them were loving it. I said, guys, you understand where we're at here? Because they come up on me and they go, well, we're trying to draw money. I said, I get that. I said, but these guys, this is I don't know, this is crazy, man. Because that cop kept calling me over, and he was furious. He wanted to shoot him. I swear to God, he did. He wanted to, New Jack finished it off, and he goes, oh, no, Jay. He said, keep up the good work. He said, we got 2 of them down. We got a lot more to go. Right there. Yeah. And that cop called me up there at the stairs right there, and I went down and told them what they said and everything, and told Jimmy and them. And Jimmy, everything's angled. You know what I mean? He's wrestling, and Jimmy, it's real deal. These guys ain't playing. And that cop told me, he said, you need to get them out of here. You need to get them out of here right away. They need to go right away. Well, yeah, he was pissed. All 3 of them were pissed off. And I never even told Jack and them because I thought they'd confront them. And you know how it is. I mean, New Jack really was careful. The first week around the loop, he came to all the shows, and I can't remember what color it was, but in a Corvette. That security watching his green. Yeah, it was green. Yeah. And they worked a long time with White Boy or with rock and roll, and then they worked with White Boy and I when they put White Boy and I together. And that's when I'd come back from Japan, and we was in Paintsville, Kentucky, and his first night in, we worked with a young black kid named A.C. Connors, what he was called then.
You know where that was?
And it was D-Lo Brown.
It was D-Lo Brown. That was at the Apple Fest, West an hour from my house. They brought in A.C.
Yeah, he was D'Lo Brown. That's his first night in up there.
His first night in, he worked with me. Yeah, I had come just into Japan, had come in the night before, and to Nashville. And if I'm right, I believe I got in that day, and I got off the plane and went and got to my car and went straight to Paintsville, drove like 300 miles, and I worked him. And Jimmy told me then, he said, he trained himself in the backyard. No, Gerbil, Mark Curtis, the ref, told me in the ring that, was working. He was just a natural, and he was great. And Jimmy loved the matches, his tryout match, working with me. And we went on first. I remember that. And
that was at the Apple
because
Fest,
and Gerbil told me he trained himself in the ring. So he was the second guy that ever trained in the backyard besides the Hardys, that made it, and of course the rest was, and Jimmy put him with him after that. D'Lo made him D'Lo Brown.
Black pants and black, boots or whatever. But he came in and, I remember the reason I was there, I don't know if I was off at that time or not, but where that's just an hour from my house, I remember I went up and worked Tony. And I just, because it's local, and I think I was off TV, but Jimmy, booked me up there, just because he knew it so close to me, and I was over in that town. But I remember, that's right, that's the first time I met D'Lo, was at Paintsville, Kentucky. And that night you're talking about.
Yeah,
Bobby,
yeah.
Of
course, they were there about a year, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's funny you point that promo out, Tracy, because we just played that promo on the show a couple of weeks ago where New Jack said that, where he said, OJ, good job. That's 2 down, many more to go.
Work. And you didn't go there with those kind of things back then. You didn't go there with them kind of things. It was cutting edge, and that was Attitude Era way before there was an Attitude Era,
Yeah.
It was, boy. Their whole deal was, man. Hey, one night, this ain't a while. One time, you remember Ron and Don Harris, right?
Yeah.
Bobby,
I know
remember
where
them?
Go
Well, they were two big old rough boys, and they were doing a deal with the Gangstas, and somewhere in there, I can't remember how it went, and did something, a smoz or a pull apart or something crazy in one of them towns, and all that, and I can remember the cops, didn't like Ron and Don, and their deal was like hillbilly type thing, you know what I mean? Kind of something like that. I don't know what they were. They looked like two Bruiser Brodies is what they looked like, and were romping, stomping bad boys. Were Ron and Don, and the Gangsters, and they didn't like the Gangsters at all, because they were Klan. This was in Virginia somewhere, and I don't remember where it was.
Virginia or Council, Virginia,
somewhere like that. Yeah, I think it was Council. Wise was another situation.
Council was Wise was the whole other situation with Jimmy and the heavily body bracket. Yeah,
and Ron and Don beat up the whole crowd.
Yeah, they beat up the whole crowd.
They beat up about 20 people. That was the damnest thing you ever seen.
They were throwing chairs sideways. Chairs was slinging fucking frisbees, taking their legs out, knocking people down.
Another time, but, that was something they did that. Another one, Wise. Yeah. Another one that we did was when we were getting ready to do and bring Undertaker in, when it was Bob, myself, and Undertaker against the Gangsters. And one of the last Bluegrass Brawl, I believe, in '95 we did.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Well, right then, I remember the one Ron and Don told me, he said, Ron used to be a cop. He said, you need to call back up then. He said, fuck y'all. He said, I'm not putting you on. You can go to hell. He told them that. He's ready to fight them cops. Ron and Don were. And New Jack and them were ready. He said, well, anyway, Jimmy, myself, they did a thing with Balls Mahoney. He was Boo Bradley then, and they left Boo right laying and beat Boo up, and everything, left and laying. Every tape they were, getting heat on their baby faces. And then the second one, I can't remember who he did something with. And then the third one was going to be myself in a single match with New Jack, with Mustafa out and D'Lo out by ringside, and then them screw me, get a win on me, and then get heat on me, and then beat Jimmy down and cover Jimmy with the Malcolm X flag. And that was we were getting ready to do that segment there, the last segment, and that was the lead in to bring Undertaker in. You know what I mean? Because Undertaker come in for Pikeville, and he came in for Johnson City and Knoxville, maybe.
Yeah,
or maybe it was just those three. And
no, it might have been those two. But anyway, we had a huge weekend.
You're right. It was those two. It was Pikeville and Johnson City. Well, anyway, he came in another time and worked
weekend.
he did another one where he came in and worked Unabomber, which was Kane.
Yeah, that was a Super Bowl going 95.
That's when they put him on developmental. And had him still working at Smoky Mountain. He was working USWA too, plus on developmental. And well, anyway, we're getting ready to do that segment. And I think it was Balls. Maybe they left Balls. He wasn't Balls then. He was something else. And I can't remember who the second one they did. Maybe Balls was for. I don't remember how it went. But all I remember is a cop come back there, 3 of them, and they come back to me. It was always 3 of them guys. When it was Klan guys, usually at least 3. Well, they'd come back to me and goes, "Hey, we don't have that type around here. We don't have them around here. They need to get the hell out of here now." They come back and told us and everything, and Jimmy went off and everything. I said, "Jimmy, these guys ain't playing." I said, "They're cops and they're real deal." I buzzed him. He goes, "Huh?" I said, "They're the real deal. They're playing. They are furious." I said, "It's going to draw." I said, "But we got to talk these guys out of this some way. They want New Jack and Mustafa. They wanted to take them in. They wanted to take them down. Whatever they needed to do." And New Jack and Mustafa and D'Lo were back in the back, and they were ready to fight. They were ready to do because they knew if they went to jail, they wasn't going to never be seen again. They knew it, and I knew it. And I don't think Jimmy really got it, but he did when I told him. I said, "I'm serious." And I pulled the cops. I said, "Jimmy," I said, "let me smarten them up to what we're doing here. Back then, you didn't smarten nobody up." And you kayfabe, and I took them in a room right there, and I said, "Look, guys," I said, "this is a storyline. This is an angle." I said, "Yes, they are legitimate gangsters. They are the real deal." I said, "But we are leading in to our big shows coming up in Pikeville, Kentucky, mainly, and in Johnson City, Tennessee." I said, "They are going to beat me up. Then the next show, beat me up, and they're going to cover Jimmy with a." I had to tell them what we were doing, and I said they're going to cover him with the Malcolm X. I'm not kidding. I was like nervous, and I was there, and I said, "This is our business. This is what we do. This is a storyline. This is soap opera. We're leading every week. We're doing 3 weeks of TV here. We do it every 3 weeks. This is leading into to big shows." I said, "Everything he's rolled the dice, and everything is hinging on these 2 shows." I said, "This is going to kill our business if you arrest these guys right now."
Right.
I said, "We'll get and they looked at me and they said, "Okay." They said, "Well, we understand that and do." He said, "But we don't have that bullshit around here, and we don't have them we don't have them. Ain't no black people in this county. There ain't no black people in the surrounding counties." He was telling me all of it, and I just sit there and do it. I said, "I got you." I said, "I understand." He goes, "Well, I'll tell you what." He goes, "They don't need to shower. They need to get the fuck out of here as soon as they're done." Okay. So that's what he told me. And he said, "Y'all go and y'all do it and do." He said, "We're not going to watch it. We're going to be where and that and do." He said, "We're going to be right over here." And he said, "You have one of your guys. If you need help or something, need anything we can do, we do our job to come get us, but we're not going to watch it." That's what they told me. And I went and told New Jack and them, said, "Guys, don't do whatever you do. Just please, let's get through this and do." I said, "I just talked to him and all that and did." And I mean, New Jack had a gun on him all the time too. Yeah. Told him Mustafa and I, they had to. But and D'Lo wasn't a hardcore real gangster like they were. You know what I mean? D'Lo was from the Northeast, came from a good family. Yeah. He was you know what I mean? He wasn't a hardcore brother like they were. He was an educated guy, played college football and stuff. You know what I mean? Well, New Jack was too, but I mean, he was real deal. And so we got through it, and that's I'm not exaggerating. That happened.
Tracy, let me ask a question about the whole thing, because I 100% believe you, because I mean, I watch it back now, all the episodes that I have, and I see some of the stuff that New Jack said, and I was telling my co-host Doc, who's a big fan of yours, by the way, Doc said to me offline last weekend, I told him offline last weekend, I said, "I'm actually shocked that nothing happened to New Jack in the Smoky Mountains during that time, because of the promos."
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
Are you shocked, Bobby, that nothing bad ever happened to him?
I am, actually. I mean, am.
Can you, cause you listen to some of the stuff that he said in them promos?
Okay.
It's crazy.
Go ahead. Say what now?
I was saying, Bobby, I'm gonna get your take after I get Tracy's, but what I told Doc and I were talking about this offline, we said we could not believe that New Jack did not get hurt by a fan or wasn't seriously harmed because of the promos he was cutting. Cause I mean, they were vicious, man. They were real.
Oh, yes. And he came from the heart, and it drew money because they bought it. But it got to where I remember, I can't remember what the deal was and what exactly happened. And, but they're supposed to have got a big deal like with Coca-Cola or somebody. Is that right, Bobby? Do you remember this? And they, was going to get a big sponsorship with them. And,
actually, yeah, you're right on it. It was actually Pepsi. Pepsi, I think, is who it was. Yeah. And they saw the promos and pulled their sponsorship out. Yeah.
Pulled it. And after a while, it got to much and the reason they released them, and of course they went and had to run in ECW right after that, was because it got to be where people were so mad they wouldn't come to the shows. You know, it started hurting, and they drew there for a while, you know, but it got to be where people just wouldn't come. They were that mad.
They were that turned off and that mad.
Yeah. They just got, one night, do you remember this, Bobby, at the Coliseum, and I can't remember who they were working with then. It might have been me and Tony. I don't remember. But the NAACP was there. And Jack went out there and dogged them and cussed them and called them Uncle Toms and everything.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes. And I do think it was either Johnson City or the Coliseum. He went out and browbeat
the Coliseum.
NCAA. Yes, NCAA.
NAACP came and Jack cut a promo on them. I think something, they tried to talk to Jack like he was a kid or something. I don't remember how it was, but they kind of disrespected him and Mustafa. And
they said what they were doing was they weren't helping the cause, basically.
To
keep educating African Americans or blacks, etc. And what they were doing was actually setting them back in time. And New Jack just cut a promo on them, man. Yeah.
Oh,
that was at the Coliseum. He just buried them. Yes. Yes, I do remember that. I sure did.
He sure did. And they left. And it was a big deal, you know, and it made the news and everything, you know. I mean, back then there wasn't no social media, you know, there wasn't cell phone, there wasn't any of that, you know, there wasn't the internet much at all. No, it's getting going a little, but word of mouth and all, but they made all the local newspaper, made the news in Knoxville, everything.
Yeah.
Are you shocked, Tracy, that nothing happened to, like, when I mean nothing, are you shocked that they didn't get harmed? Because I'm still amazed that New Jack and Mustafa made it out of Smoky Mountain Wrestling without a fan getting a hold of them. Because I watched those promos.
They loved it. They loved it. They loved every minute of it. They were never afraid. They were never scared. And in the ring, they do whatever you wanted to do. And they get a little, ever so often, Jack, he took that thing serious. And I used to tell him, I go, this is a gimmick. And he didn't like that rebel flag thing at all. And Mustafa, not so much either, but Jack didn't. Sometimes he'd get a little crazy in the ring with me and like almost have a flashback or something. And I'd tell him, I go, Jack, this is Tracy here. This is Tracy. Because he would listen to everything in the ring. He'd listen, whatever he wanted to do, he would do it. And he'd come up with crazy stuff he wanted to do, you know, and stuff. And you try to put it in the right place and all that. And their attitude, they had a great attitude, everything. But he'd get a little crazy sometimes. I remember Mustafa throwing a punch at me, not to hit me, but one night. And then I looked up and I said, Mustafa, this is Tracy. Okay? This is Tracy. I love you guys, man. We're trying to draw money. You know, I didn't get mad. I never did. But there was one time when Jack did a thing and spit on me. And I clotheslined him and knocked him goofy one night, you know, and we didn't have no words about it. But he got so upset because I retaliated back, and he freaked out. And Jack liked to do, you know, he partied, you know, and he had an anxiety attack and was so fired up and mad, he went into a seizure in the dressing room, and they had to take him to the hospital. I saw him the next day, and he just like, Tracy, he says, you know, you hit me hard, and it's this other dude. And he goes, I was so mad at you. He said, I about lost my mind. I said, Jack, you lost your mind when you come in and did that promo the first night. You know, like that. I said, you okay? I said, my God. I said, I'm out there to work with you and draw money. We try to draw money with you. You guys this is the best, hottest gimmick going, you know, and, you know, just things like that.